I'm coming in hot. Coming in hot.
Run Hard Nation, what's up? I'm here with Patrick Timmerman. Patrick is a former Run Hard runner. Well, I say former Run Hard runner. I don't know if Run Hard ever leaves your blood. Once you participate in it, you're in it for life.
You're
And
stuck. Yeah.
it's really cool to be able to chat with Patrick today because like he did Run Hard, but now he kept running after he essentially graduated from the program. So Patrick, what's up, man?
What's up, Jesse?
Hey, give everybody like a little 30-second intro or whatever, who you are, where you live, what do you do currently, all that stuff.
So, as Jesse beautifully pointed out, I'm Patrick Timmerman. I am from Lexington, South Carolina. I currently run for Columbia College in Columbia, South Carolina. And yeah, run for a living.
Hey, so some of you may be watching this and you may say, hey, hold up, that dude looks really familiar. Well, if you were at our race this past week on December 9th, then he was one of our pacers. Patrick paced our 20-minute pace group, right?
Yep.
And so we actually had a few runners really close behind that pace group. Pace group, something that we started this year, kind of a new thing we want to try out, worked phenomenally. So yeah, that's probably where you recognize him from. Like, hey, he looks familiar. There's a reason why. So Patrick, thanks for chatting today. Let's go through your Run Hard experience and when and where you did Run Hard. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I started in I think it was the summer going into third grade, but I counted that as second grade at that point.
Yeah.
And I initially got into running because I was trying to do basketball, like upward basketball.
Okay.
And I will never forget it. In the packet pickup for upward basketball was this bright neon green piece of paper. And it just, all I remember seeing is the big words "Run Hard" on it. And my mom was saying, it's like, well, you should like probably start running in order to get in shape for basketball. Like, sure. And so did it, really enjoyed it. And then I was terrible at basketball. I mean, I'm not nearly that athletic. So I was terrible at basketball, and then did Run Hard again in the spring that year. Once again, enjoyed it. Tried one more season of basketball, hated it, and just started doing Run Hard full time all the way through sixth grade. And then that I moved into the high school level of running.
So what school did you do Run Hard at?
I did it at Lexington Elementary.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Do you remember who your coach was at the time?
I believe Tony Brown was my first coach.
Okay.
I can't immediately put name to paper.
Yeah, there was we had Coach Jenny there for a little while.
There it is.
Backman. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Now that's going way back, because I mean I think they were some of our original coaches at Lexington Elementary. I know you're getting older, but I'm not, so like I don't know how that age thing works out, but that's really cool. Do you remember at your races we did awards for overall? Did you ever get an award for overall or age group award, anything like that?
I don't think so. Okay. I still have the medals. I know that. Okay. I have them hanging up on my wall.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't think I ever got an overall one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's cool, because I mean that's a teachable moment for these kids, and even my kids. So I got 3 boys that participate in the program now, and my oldest boy is in 5th grade, and sometimes he gets discouraged whenever he works hard and not getting the age group award. I'm like, hey buddy, you can't just work for the age group award, just focus on getting better each time. Yeah. And so there's hope for people who don't necessarily get an age group award or an overall award to continue to run, be successful at the sport of running. So if you're listening to this and you hear Patrick, hey, he's not even sure that he got an overall award or maybe even an age group award. So, and then you come back and set the Run Hard record for the marathon. So,
yeah, and ironically, so the first 3 half marathons I ever did were Run Hard. They were the 2. I did 2 in the Columbia one, and then I actually ran at my dad's place for the Lexington one a couple years ago and won his age group for him.
Wow.
But the 2 years that I ran the Columbia one in my own age group, I came second. And most people would be like, "Oh man, you got second. That's so close." And it's like, I like getting second. It means I
Yeah.
get to work harder. Like
Yeah.
if you win it, then it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you have to work harder, but you're not chasing something.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
like coming in second.
Yeah, there's a truth to that, like being chased or being the chaser. You know, which one is more motivating for you? Because that's definitely that top spot is a tough place to be. So
Yeah.
you do run hard all the way through the 6th grade. Where
Yep.
was the tipping point for you to say, I want to try out for cross country?
Probably around 5th grade. I was
Okay.
very interested in it. And I didn't know at the time that I could start in 7th grade. I had no idea that I could start
Okay.
running cross country in 7th grade. So whenever I heard, like around 6th grade, the end of 6th grade, that I could do it the very next year, it's like, oh my gosh, like, okay, cool, I'll
Yeah.
sign up to do cross country. And it was a big change. like
Okay.
like going from run hard, like, I mean, changing is part of running. Like, you always have to adapt to different coaching changes, different,
Sure.
like, you're going to have times where you kind of plateau out in your training and you feel like you're not getting faster. And sometimes you just need that little bit of push. Um, but yeah, it was early on in maybe 5th grade that I kind of decided I wanted to do high school cross country.
And you went to what middle school and high school?
I went to it doesn't exist anymore, but I went to Lexington Middle School,
Okay.
and then I went to River Bluff High School.
Okay. So whenever you started running at River Bluff, Coach Gomez
Yep.
was your coach?
Mhm.
Okay. And that first cross country race, what were the nerves like?
Oh Lord, it was very tense. I will always remember it, but because it was at Gilbert High School, and there were so many people there that were older than me, taller than me, stronger than me. Like, I'm a 7th grader at this point, surrounded by high schoolers. It's like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
intimidating.
Yeah.
I won't forget it. I ran a 32:50 was my
Okay.
first ever high school 5K, and I ended my high school career with a 17:25.
That's incredible. So you
So,
essentially almost cut your 5K time in half.
yes.
Almost. Yeah. Wow. So those nerves at the start line, as you continue to progress through cross country, obviously trained harder, got better. Did those nerves ever ease up, or was it the same, just different experience?
Depends on the race.
Okay.
So for example, like region, or now that I'm in college, conference or nationals, it's a different feeling of nerves. It's a whole
Okay.
lot more, you're trying to be focused, but at the same time you're not trying to like get so like tense that
Right. Right.
you're way too uptight about it. But like regular races nowadays, it's like, okay, cool, just go out and run,
Yeah.
5 miles. Well, in college it's 5 miles, but it's like, okay, go run a 5K. Okay, got it. And throughout high school, um, I was a very nervous person, and I was always nervous going into races. And people are like, "Man, how are you nervous into going into races?" It's like, it's okay to be nervous. If anything, it just turns into adrenaline once the gun
Right.
goes off.
Right.
But to me, it's always okay to be nervous. And one of the greatest things I ever heard was Walter Payton, the great football player. He always said he was always nervous before every game, and he's one of the greatest to ever do it. So,
Right. Right. So you ended with a what was that, 17:35?
17:25.
17:25. So was that at in your senior year that you ran that PR?
No, that was my junior year.
Okay. And your junior year, senior year, high school, like running's fun. Obviously, you enjoyed it. You're on the cross country team, and I know just being a cross country coach that you train all year round, essentially, with a couple weeks, maybe a month off in between track, cross country seasons like that.
Yeah.
So you're in love with it. What made you want to run at the collegiate level? It's a different ballgame at the collegiate level.
Yeah.
Right? It's more of a job. Cross country, high school is a lot of fun. You train together, all that kind of stuff. It's different. What made you want to run in college?
I think because really going through high school, I never really like had that eureka moment until junior year because
Okay.
I'd kind of been going steady and I'd been improving, and I was getting better slowly but surely. And then like my PR going into junior year was maybe a 1950, and first 5K of the year, I ran an 1840, and then the very next race I ran a 1740. So within two
Good
meets, I
night.
took 2 minutes off of my previous season PR. And that was kind of the moment where I was like, because I had always kind of wanted to be a collegiate athlete. That just to me seemed cool to me.
Right.
But it didn't seem possible until I started doing that. I was like,
Okay.
ooh, maybe this is an actual, option in reality for me. So around that time is when I really started to say, okay, I think I want to do it, even though it's going to be hard. I kind of want the challenge of it.
That's incredible because you go from a 3250, I think you said, in seventh grade to now senior year of high school. No, when did you sign with Columbia College?
I signed with Columbia College in October of October of 2021. It was in the middle of COVID.
Okay. So you go from that, from a 30. So somebody listening to this, understand 3250 in a 5K at the high school level. You're definitely back of the pack. If not the back of the pack. So you can go from the back of the pack to a collegiate runner by hard work. Because I'm sure, Patrick, you put in the time, you put in the miles, you put in the dedication.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to that message. Patrick is a perfect example of that, how hard work can pay off. So congrats to you, dude.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
And hard work is, that's the hardest part about it. And I always tell people, whenever I came into high school running, we had A, B, C, and D group. I was D minus. I was at the bottom of the roster.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
having that C, B, and A group ahead of you, it pushes you to be better. You want the varsity. Because all the nicer jerseys get handed out to the faster guys. You kind of get the hand-me-downs at the back end of it. So, but as you go, it's like, ooh, I want the nicer jersey. I want that jersey.
Yeah.
That pushes you. And then beating other people in your mind, it's like, okay, if I can get this guy, I'm in B group, or if I can get this guy, I'm in A group.
Yeah.
And so working that is critical in order to get better, is finding a way to motivate yourself to be better. And if you find a method to kind of get your head that way of, ooh, I can get that person, or I got to beat that person. And I was fortunate enough, I had a teammate of mine who actually ran Run Hard with me for years. He started the same year I did. And
Wow.
he went all the way through cross country in high school with me, all the way through senior year. And he and I kind of always duked it out, and, having that training partner that you can kind of metaphorically spar with.
Yeah.
Where if I beat him in a race, he kind of thinks, oh, dang, I got to beat him. And then he beats me in a race. It's like, oh, dang, what can I do to beat him? And it pushes you to be better. So also finding a training partner is essential.
Yeah. Yeah. That pushing each other to be better. There's a lot to be said for that. So you go to college, and explain to me how this works at the collegiate level, because you guys have an opportunity to race the marathon distance.
Yeah.
Is that right? So just for the listeners, marathon means 26.2-mile race. So Patrick, you have the opportunity to race. How is that set up, and how often do you guys race that distance?
So it's a once-a-year race. So we did it my freshman year.
Okay.
And the way it was set up was very poor. I didn't get to run it at nationals, but my teammate did. And it used to be that the marathon took place in outdoor track nationals, which it's hot.
Right.
So you're trying to do
Yeah.
26.2 miles
Yeah.
in
In May.
spring in Alabama.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah.
So they took a year off last year, so I didn't get the opportunity to do it last year. And they kind of restructured how they were going to do qualifying and how they were going to do everything with it. And so effectively what you needed to do was you needed to have, and most people who've ever run the marathon distance kind of like roll their eyes at this, but it's, you need 2 runs of at least 2 hours. You need to average at least 40 miles a week for 12 weeks. And then you need to do a 2-hour time trial. So just as hard as you can go nonstop, as far as you can get. And, they put you on a leaderboard, and the top 50 guys on that leaderboard speed wise go, and the top women on that top 50 on that leaderboard for women go as well. So
Cool.
So that's how that works. And then they kind of shoehorned it into the CIM race this year, which great course. I mean, and it was a great race for it. So yeah.
Yeah, CIM, the California International Marathon, that's known to be like a really fast race. So I'm assuming you guys went into this pretty optimistic about like reaching the goal that you set. Did you go in with a time goal or a place goal? What were you planning for?
Well, when you go to nationals with a team, you obviously aspire for first. And as far as time goes, we were mainly just trying to do sub 3. That's
okay.
We had a goal in mind of just go 6:40 pace, and we were so ready for it. We had been training at tempo pace, like in our workouts at like 6:30 pace for an hour and a half. So we were well prepared for it. And then we get into it, and we go through the first 5K at like 19:10, which is,
oh Lord, a lot faster than 6:40.
It's 6:10 average, and
yeah,
and it's like, whoo, okay.
yeah.
But yeah, we had the goal in mind of just under 3, and we ended up just holding that 6:10 for the first 8 miles, and me and my teammates just kind of looked at each other, and it's like, at this point, let's see what we can do.
Yeah, we're too deep into it now. Might as well just keep rolling, Yeah. My fastest marathon's 2:58. And that was difficult for me to manage. But I mean, you guys, what was your finish time?
2:46:26.
So a 2:46 marathon, what are your average? I mean, you gotta be what, 6:25, 6:26? Where you at?
6:24.
6:24. Okay. Yeah. I know. I mean, that's pretty much like, just to put that in run hard lingo. So he's breaking 20 minutes on average for every 5K of the race he just ran. So that is the one run hard race, 5K at the end of the program that we do. Patrick breaks 20 minutes for that race multiple times. So you got 42 kilometers into a marathon. So you're thinking 8 times he's running that 5K race, he's breaking 20 minutes continuously. So just to kind of put that in run hard race perspective a little bit, that's pretty flying.
It's quick.
Yeah. So at what point in the marathon did you say, man, our time is going to crush the 3-hour mark? Today's a good day.
Right around the half marathon point.
Okay. And you came through the half marathon at what time?
1:20.
Okay.
So for reference, so as our time trial, we did the famously hot pink half in downtown.
Yeah.
And I ended up coming across the line at like 1:21. in that.
Okay.
So for perspective, we came through the half of the full marathon
Yeah.
a minute faster than I came through the
Yeah.
full.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that was probably the point where I kind of looked at my watch and was like, we can average like 7:30s the rest of the way
Yeah.
out, which
Yeah.
for us is like, that's just completely our easy pace. Like that's what
Yeah.
we do every other day, in
Yeah.
practice for
Yeah.
8 miles. It's like, man,
Yeah.
we can hold this. And
Yeah.
my teammate Caden Reeder, he had taken off at around the half marathon point. I caught up with him around mile 19-ish, and he was hurting. And I looked at my watch, and we had gotten faster. And I was able to like tell him, it's like, dude, we can hold 8-minute pace the rest of the way out, and we got it. He's
Yeah.
like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm certain. I'm doing the math right." It's like,
Yeah.
we're good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people that I talk to that don't necessarily run often, or if they do, they don't run long. And they're like, do you run with music or do you run with headphones? Do you run with people? And during the races, I'm like I don't run with any of that stuff. And they're like, well, what do you think about? And it's like the whole time during the race, the only thing I'm doing is math. It's like constantly doing math. So I can relate when I heard you say that. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did the math right. That when you get that to the end of the marathon, that's all you're doing. You're looking at your watch, you're going, okay, what can I average? What do I need to average? All that. So I get it.
the longer the race, the more mental you have to be thinking, the more calculating you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I've had the same people like ask me questions. It's like, do you listen to music? I don't listen to music because I don't like listening to music, especially when I'm training, because I run on the side
Okay.
of the road where there's either cars or there's
Right.
bikes and stuff
Right.
like that. So I like being able to hear surroundings. That, and when you're in a marathon with that many people, I mean,
Yeah.
don't be antisocial. Like there's however
Yeah.
many people around you at any
Yeah.
given moment. But I've had people like, man, how do you pass the time? It's like, you kind of just turn your brain off.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it, the best way. Okay, here's a good way of putting it. It's like turning music on one tab on your computer and then clicking off of it to like keep the music going, but you're doing something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
So there's always something going on. So you're still kind of
Yeah.
doing that math and that running in your head, but you're not really
Yeah.
doing anything.
Exactly. So how did the team end up finishing?
We finished 5th out of 10.
Okay.
So not bad. And we had
And
three out of our 4 guys qualify for Boston.
wow.
Our 4th guy was just short on it. He had a rough last 6.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's pretty much where the race actually starts anyway.
That's right.
You're
Yeah.
it's a 20-mile warm up and then into
Yep.
a 10K
Yep.
finish. And he just had a rough last one. I think his final time was like a 3:10, so he was close.
Yeah.
Which he was beating himself up for it, but it's like, dude, it was his first ever marathon. It's like
Yeah.
that. It's not bad.
There's a lot of people that would wish that their first marathon was a 3:10.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool, man. So how did they factor the scores? Did they do it on team average? Is it scored like cross country, the runner placement?
So it's scored like cross country. So we had 4 guys there, but top 3 for each team score.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so the way they had it set up at the start was they actually did us very nice with this. They had the elite group in front of us, the guys who were going for OTQs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then right behind them, they had us corralled in like the seated time. So we weren't like going to be jammed back with everybody else where we were having to worry about getting out. And then I believe their rule was like, if it came down to like chip time, it came down to head to head. So if it was like, if one guy's chip time was, I'll just make something up here, like 3 hours, and then another guy's chip time was 3 hours, but he was 10 minutes behind him because he was trying to get out of the pack,
Yeah.
the guy who came in front of him is going to get the win. But yes, they
Yeah.
do it like
Yeah.
cross country.
Cool. Cool. So what's next for you?
We've got indoor and outdoor season coming up.
Okay.
I don't really know what I want to qualify for just yet. I know I can qualify for a bunch of events. And then uh probably go into, do marathoning again next year. Going into senior
Cool.
year.
Cool.
Um Hopefully another good cross country season ahead of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, just having fun. I mean, that's the important thing when you get to the college level is you got to
Sure.
be able to find fun with it.
Sure.
Um, if you think of it way too much like a job, you're not going to be happy doing it.
Right.
And the biggest thing with me is if you're not enjoying it, then you're not doing it right. And you
Right.
so with any sport, go out, have fun, make new friends. Don't make
Yeah.
enemies. Um, and build up, don't tear down. It,
Hey, I like
it's
it. I like
it,
it. You still
it's a
remember.
Oh yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
mantra to remember, and that's something that the running community is always about.
Sure.
We're I don't think I've ever seen like a disrespectful comment towards runners. Usually, like if they're talking about a training plan or something like that, it's like trying to piece their advice based off of their own experience,
Sure.
um, which is completely fair to do. Um, but and then getting out of college. Hope to maybe help coach at my old high school. That doesn't work out, then I'll, maybe go full time being a pacer for Run Hard. Who knows?
Hey, come on. Come on. Well, Patrick, if a kid came up to you that's currently doing Run Hard and he said, "Hey, Patrick, I might want to run one day, or I don't know if I want to run one day in college or at high school at the cross country level," what advice or what nugget of information would you give him or her that asked you that question?
That they aren't sure that they were going to run in high
Like
school, or
they want to know, like, what advice would you give them if they came up to you and said, "I think I might want to run in high school, or I might want to run in college one day." I don't know, but what advice would you give them?
you never know until you try.
Okay.
You you have no idea how things may change. If you think you're running, oh, I'm too slow right now. It's like, man, I ran a 32, my
Yeah.
first high school 5K. I'm
Yeah.
running in college now. I average sub 20s for 42K. Like,
Yeah.
if you think you're slow at this point in time, you've still got so much time to develop and get faster. And the same time, there are so many memories that you can make as part of a team. Even if you're not the fastest, you know, I was not the fastest on my team. I have guys who on my high school team went on to run at USC. They are significantly faster than I am. And even then, it make those memories,
Yeah.
it does not ever hurt to be physically active and making new friends at the same
That's right.
time.
That's right.
You make so many memories that, especially this sport in general, that there's just so much opportunity available to you to either make new friends, get physically stronger, get mentally stronger, be more disciplined, and find a good pastime. I mean, I anytime I'm like overstressed, I will go out and just run. Like
Yeah.
heck, I
Yeah.
had my aunt a couple years ago. It was like 98 degrees out on the beach, and I just told them, I was like, I'm stressed. I'll be back in like 15 minutes. And they're like, "Are
Yeah.
you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be back. If I'm not back in 15 minutes, come looking for me." It's like, well, how are we gonna know? It's like it should be 2 miles for me. So if I'm not back in 15 minutes, come looking
Yeah.
for me. Um, but you just never know until you give it the opportunity. And if
Yeah.
it's not for you, then okay, at least you tried. Yeah,
Right.
it's that old adage of you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's right.
If you don't ever give it an opportunity, you never know if you're going to be good at it or not. Like I thought about quitting running so many times, and if I had, I wouldn't be running in college. I wouldn't, have met so many amazing people. I wouldn't have just run a awesome marathon. I wouldn't have had any of the amazing experiences on and off the track, off the course, whatever. So just give it a shot. If you're considering it, at least try it.
Yeah.
Just to see.
Yeah. That's awesome. Words of wisdom from Patrick Timmerman, former Run Hard runner, now collegiate runner at Columbia College in Columbia, South Carolina. So hopefully through this conversation with Patrick, you've been inspired through his story and through his life experience involving running. So remember, Run Hard Nation, always remember, whatever you do, run hard. All right.